Hi, Danny Marrow again. I'm continuing with this intelligent discussion of Allah, the word Allah, and praying towards Mecca. Allah was a demonic moon god, and statues were made of this moon god. And praying towards Mecca, an Allah idol, was set up at the Kaaba, along with all the other idols. The pagans prayed toward Mecca and the Kaaba because that is where the gods were stationed. It only made sense to them to face the direction of their god and then pray. Since the idol of their moon god, Allah, was at Mecca, they prayed towards Mecca. The worship of the moon god extended far beyond the Allah worship in Arabia. The entire Fertile Crescent was involved in the worship of the moon. This in part explains the early success of Islam among Arab groups that traditionally had worshipped the moon god. The use of the crescent moon symbol, which is placed on the flags of Islamic nations and on the top of the mosque and minarets,
is a throwback to the days when Allah was worshipped as the moon god in Mecca. While this may come as a surprise to many Christians who have wrongly assumed that Allah was simply another name for the God of the Bible, educated Muslims generally understand this point. A Muslim taxi driver. During one trip to Washington, D.C., I got involved in a conversation with a Muslim taxi driver from Iran. When I asked him where did Islam attain the symbol of the crescent moon, he responded that it was an ancient pagan symbol used throughout the Middle East, and that adopting this symbol had helped Muslims to convert people throughout the Middle East. When I pointed out that the word Allah itself was used by the moon god cult in pre-Islamic Arabia, he agreed that this was the case. I then pointed out that the religion and the Quran of Muhammad could be explained in terms of pre-Islamic culture, customs, and religious ideas. He agreed with this. He went on to explain that he was a university-educated Muslim who at this point in his life was attempting to understand Islam from a scholarly viewpoint. As a result, he had lost his faith in Islam. The significance of the pre-Islamic source of the name Allah cannot be overestimated. Conclusion. In the field of comparative religions, it is understood that each of the major religions of mankind has its own peculiar concept of deity. In other words, all religions do not worship the same God, only under different names. The sloppy thinking, I want to repeat that, the sloppy thinking that would ignore the essential differences which divide world religions is an insult to the uniqueness of world religions. Which of the world religions holds to the Christian concept of one eternal God in three persons? When the Hindu denies the personality of God, which religions do not agree with this? Obviously, all men do not worship the same God or goddesses. Note, Christians do not understand the peculiar concept of one eternal God in three persons, but one eternal God with three major offices or dispensation claims. The Quran's concept of deity evolved out of the pre-Islamic pagan religion of Allah worship. It is so uniquely Arab that it cannot be simply reduced to Jewish or Christian beliefs. Did you understand? Did you understand? Did you understand? 3 questions, the same question. it's important that you understand that the word Allah has nothing to do with a living God. It is a false God. Excuse me. It is a false God. It is therefore not acceptable to be worshipped, since it's not a living God. It is a moon god. And I appeal to you to check out the history for yourself. One of the problems with any religion that tries to dominate the people, be it whatever, call it whatever you want, be it Baptist, Presbyterian, Methodist, Episcopalian, Catholic, whatever, Jewish, whatever, Islam in particular. When you try to dominate the people, you rob them of the most precious freedom of humanity. The freedom to read, digest, and decide for themselves, but not be isolated into one religion and never be able to question that religion, or never be able to look outside of that religion and investigate other religions, if for no other reason for intellectual freedom. Do you understand?